you doing, Yidos and Yidettes? My name's Paul DeAngelis, part of the Tottenham supplement team, and for some of you that know me, I'm known for my rants when I'm not happy with something. For the benefit of you guys here, I'm just going to be having a little rant today about some of the things that are going on at Tottenham, which perhaps has led to our bad form. Now, it's no secret that when Pochettino joined Tottenham, I was against it. I'm first to admit it. I got it wrong. I thought he was a no-name manager that kind of didn't really do much at Espanyol. Okay, you got Southampton playing well, but is that credentials enough to take the helm at the mighty Tottenham Hotspur? I wasn't convinced, and I was unhappy with that. However, I have been proven wrong. I love the guy's passion. I love the fact that he seems to be genuinely hungry for success. And I like his attitude, and there's no doubt that he's done some fantastic things at the club since he's been there. And definitely the senior players, especially people like Kane, etc., they seem to respond well to him. And I'm the first to admit, happily, that I was wrong, and I'm a big fan of him now. However, one of the things I said from the start, and I maintain this now, he's ineffective at making changes. He doesn't seem to have a plan B, okay? He doesn't seem capable of dramatically changing the setup when we need it. When we're losing, or when our back's against the wall, or when something's just clearly not working, he doesn't seem to be able to make those changes and change formation, do something drastic. Even at half-time, pull the team in. You know, we're all used to the half-time rollickings, but he doesn't seem to come out. They come out and they're the same formation, and often the substitute hasn't been made. He leaves substitutes far too late as well. How many times have we been screaming and saying, look, something's not working, you need to change the dynamic, or a player's just not having a good day, or even especially with Kane, for example. I mean, you know, how do we ever pull off our best striker, I admit. However, sometimes he's being checked, people know his game plan, and it's just not working, and we need to mix something up. And I feel that, you know, Pochettino, he leaves it too long sometimes. You know, he really needs to work on that part of his game, you know. I don't believe a manager is beyond the realms of the same criticism as players, you know. Players have to work very hard at their game. They have to constantly evolve and constantly check themselves. And I think the same thing with Pochettino, you know. He really needs to work on this side of his game where he can make some changes. People are expecting him not to. You know, we'll go out, and if we're making mistakes that's costing us dearly, he continues to make the same mistake and the team does not change. And that's when we really need to look at him, and the manager needs to dig in and say, something's not working, I'm going to mix it up here. So he needs to do that. He needs to work on his plan B. He needs to diagnose when an opposition team has set up their team to play in a certain way. If they're attacking, the high line's not working, or if they're parking the bus, he needs to say, right guys, this isn't working, I'm going to make some changes. And that's something I'd like to see, you know, to Pochettino to improve his game. The next thing I'm not happy with is our defence at the moment. Now, whether people like it or not, titles are won on defence. Okay, I wouldn't say it doesn't matter what you do up front, but you need a strong backbone, especially the way Tottenham played with their high line. You know, we had people like Danny Rose, we had people like Walker. And they were terrorising the wings. They were absolutely terrorising the wings. Not only were they, you know, chasing back and tracking back when they needed to, but they were often the most forward player on the pitch. They were chasing up, tearing up those wings, passing the crosses in, and it really made the Tottenham a very difficult and fast-paced team to play. It seems to have gone a little bit mixed since then. Now, I don't really know the answer. Jan Vertonghen, he's always good, but he does have his bad days. All right, I wouldn't suggest he's not worthy of his first team place, but definitely he makes his mistakes. Alderweireld, he was in amazing form. You know, we go back a season or two, he was absolutely like a stalwart at our back. And I maintain he's still a fantastic player. Whether he's mixing the defence up too much or not, I do not know. But either way, something needs to be concentrated on that defence, because I believe everything stemmed from the back with the way we were playing, and it's not working now. Something's not working. We don't seem to have got the tracking back sorted. There's never a solid 3 or 4 defending. You know, take the game like Liverpool. We were exposed, and we were exposed badly, and they don't seem to be gelling. I don't know what the answer is there, but it's something definitely that I think we're definitely suffering with this year, and I think he needs to get that right. Vorm, what can I say about Vorm? It's difficult. I don't think he's up to the standard. However, he's the kind of player that I believe needs a few games at a time. He needs a few games on the trot to start, you know, getting his form back, and that's understandable. But when you've got a keeper like Lloris, you ain't going to have those games, all right? So We need someone that can fit in there, okay? And the times he's made the mistakes. But more importantly, I don't think he commands the respect of the back four. And that's something, again, I think Pochettino needs to look at. He does make too many silly mistakes. Now, where to even start with the striker problem? Of course, we've got Harry Kane. And do you know what? I'm not fussed. You know, everyone's saying he's tired, he's knackered. Or true. You know, I think he has had a busy year. He came back from injury quite quick. But I think when we say he's tired, I think people don't realise that we're not a one-man team, but so much of the strength comes from Kane, all right? He works very hard off the ball as well, which is something that a lot of people that watch Tottenham, if they're not a Tottenham fan, they don't actually see. They only notice how many goals he bangs in. But he does work very hard off the ball. And I think that we're suffering a little bit like we did with Gareth Bale, where we're pushing him too much and we're relying on him a little bit too much. I don't think it's him that's out of form so much. I think it's the people that are around him. But the problem is, and the fact remains, who do we rotate him with? What do we do? We haven't got a plan B. And I understand, everyone says it's hard. How can you bring in a top striker when you've got someone like Kane? Well, that's what you do. Yeah, you have to. We've got no one waiting in the wings. We can't keep relying on him to rescue us like that. So I think if we want to get Kane back to his best, we need to do our bit for him. Right? And we need to get him some support, and we need to get that in fast. Levy. Where do I even start with this gentleman? I've been a Levy fan because look at everything he's delivered our club. All right, he's brought us an amazing stadium when it finally opens. He's put us on a level pegging, but how many times are we frustrated with the way he does business? All right, and those few hundreds of thousands or even millions that he saves, how much does that end up costing us in league positions, yeah, or in titles or Champions League later stages? I understand retaining the squad was admirable. I don't think it was all the fact that they all wanted to stay. I still believe Alderweireld and a few others wanted to go. However, we managed to keep them. We consolidated it. He's adjusted his pay structure a little, I think, which is good. I think absolutely spot on with what he's done with Kane. Kane has shown his loyalty beyond doubt to the club. He said he wants to be a one-club man, and he should be rewarded as such. However, we cannot, and it is unforgivable to suggest that we could not find anyone to bring in. All right? Maybe we couldn't find anyone to bring in for the money Levy wanted to pay. But no team doesn't strengthen. No team doesn't strengthen. And it's not a case of just buying for buying's sake, which is what I hear a lot of the people saying. It's not a case of that. We need strength in depth. All right? We're in a Champions League. We want to compete on all the trophy fronts. Yeah, we all know that Tottenham are badly in need of a trophy. And how are we going to compete on all these fronts if we don't have depth in our squad? All right, we don't. Kyle Walker went, and okay, we promoted a couple of people. I don't think we really replaced him. All right, we need to really go out there and show intention. And you say, who's going to come to Tottenham? Well, I don't. Maybe who would have come to Tottenham 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even. Yeah. We're a regular Champions League club now. We've finished second, runners up in one of arguably the biggest league in the world. We finished third. Yeah, we finished fourth. We are a regular top 4 team. And whilst that isn't a trophy in its own right, we are a top 4 team, which means we regularly get Champions League football. We've got some cracking players and outstanding names there, some world-class players. Look how many players we had around in the I think, was it 9 in the later stages of the World Cup this year? Amazing. We've got a fantastic new stadium coming, right? Why wouldn't anyone want to come to Tottenham? I'm not saying everyone wants to, but we've got to get out of this habit of saying, well, there's no one out there that would want to come that would have improved the squad. Cock and bull, yeah? Of course there could have been. I'm not saying go away and do what City do, yeah? And even to some extent Liverpool. I don't think people should be so amazed at how well Liverpool are doing. They spent 200 million, of course they're going to do well. But to not strengthen at all, that was unforgivable. I agree, we needed to try and keep the spine of the squad the same. And I like the fact that it's almost Fergie-esque, yeah, where he knew he had a good squad at United and he just kept them together and kept them playing. But when things aren't working, you need to strengthen, right? And I think it's showing now. It sends a message out, it sends the wrong message out. And, God help us if we start getting some injuries, because we need to do it. The stadium itself. Now, Levy went out and said, it's not going to affect transfers, it's not going to affect business on the pitch, it will be business as usual because we have a different method of funding it. Okay, great. Clearly you don't. Yeah, clearly there's issues behind the scene where money is needed. Okay, and you know, costs have escalated more than what we thought they would. Any smart businessman, you know, I'm a businessman, I would have planned that, and I'm sure Levy is a smarter businessman, and he would have known that the possibility of running into extra costs, and he would have had a plan B and a plan C. But if he'd have even come out and said to us, Spurs fans, you want a new stadium? We need a new stadium. Moving forward, we've got to have a new stadium. We've got to increase our capacity and our take. But it's going to mean a couple of hard years, right? If he'd have been honest with us and told us that, okay, we might have not been over the moon, but we'd have understood that. But all this talk about it's not going to affect transfers, it's not going to be, there's going to be money for this, there's going to be money for that, then we get left disappointed or confused and we don't really know what's going on, right? So come out, Levy, and tell us. Tell us what the score is, yeah? Tell us, it's unforgivable that no one comes out of the club at top level and tells us why we didn't buy anybody. Why we were the only team that didn't buy anybody. Yeah, it's unforgivable. You've got a loyal fan base. You know, people like myself have paid out for season ticket that we're still not even using yet at the new stadium. Yeah? You've got to be more transparent with people. You've got to be honest about people, and you've got to come out with this and tell us where it is. We're all worrying. Did Pochettino, was he promised a transfer kitty and he didn't get it? Is he going to leave? You know, all these questions unsettle the Spurs squad and unsettle the Spurs fan base. And it's unnecessary. It could all be ended if you come out and you be honest about things, you know. And when you do your business, get business done early. Okay, I understand we had a World Cup this year and it was very different. But how many times has Levy left it to the last minute when many other teams are all getting their pre-seasons underway and they've got their team all already made up and they're all playing together, they're all gelling together, all right? You can see by what's happened with Mora just how long it takes someone to come in. Yeah, he couldn't just come in, stick him into the squad when he came in January and he does well. It took time. And as you're seeing, now he's had that time with the squad, he's playing amazing, you know, and I think that's fantastic. But, you know, I don't think there's one answer to what's going on at Tottenham. Obviously, at the moment, morale's going to be a bit low. 3 losses. You know, all teams have drops in form. We're probably well overdue because we haven't had one for a while. But this early in the season shouldn't be happening. Something doesn't look right. I don't know what it is. I do trust in the boys. I trust in Pochettino. I saw a lovely tweet today from, I think it was Jan Vertonghen, who said, time to put it right this weekend. And great, that's that kind of attitude we want. And, you know, you've got to have faith in your Spurs. You've got to have your faith in your boys. And you've got to have your faith in your manager. But the changes, the defence, Vorm, the striker, the transfers, these are all things I think that really need to be addressed and looked at. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the matter. I'm interested in what you've got to say. You might think I'm a moany old git. You might think I have my rants, which I do. However, I love my Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.